This afternoon's YouTube enhancement is Corrudo. These are the shades that several months ago I chucked into a bucket full of methylated spirits along with a bunch of witch elves, or something else, I can't remember exactly. The something else I plucked out, scrubbed off and painted up, and they're now part of the army. These bastards, on the other hand, just refuse to clean. So I chucked this lot back in the methylated spirits and more or less forgot about them, and then just recently had time to dig them up and scrubbed them off. They're not fantastically clean. So this is as clean as I can be bothered making them, given the ridiculous amount of scrubbing involved to get them even to this condition. I don't know what the previous owner did to them, but the amount of scrubbing and soaking and scrubbing involved, it feels like they slopped on the undercoat, varnished it, painted over the top, varnished that, then varnished the fucking varnish just for good measure. So this took quite a while to sort out. I've got almost all of it. I think there's a piece missing off of this guy at the end. I don't have his crossbar for his crossbow, but that's all right. They'll either budgie something up or just ignore it. It's a rehabilitated force after all. And with that odious bit of nonsense over and done with, I'll paint these guys up and we'll start getting that sneakiness that this army requires. Right, now we're finally done. And I have to admit, it's taken so damn long, it's a little bit embarrassing for a grand total of 6 fucking miniatures out of all of that. This installment's excuses include painting up an entire starter box of Age of Sail, buying and assembling a flying fuck ton of Team Yankee, mostly Russians, and basing all that up. Getting COVID and having effectively 2 people's jobs to do for the last 6 months at work. And I'll just say with COVID, I feel particularly ripped off. I've got mates who are getting COVID and they're lounging around at home and they're catching up on their painting. Whole regiments of Napoleonics are being pumped out. And I got COVID, I was sick as a fucking dog and stuck at home with a child and a wife both with COVID, so that didn't work out too well on the hobby front at all. That said, I've noticed a bit of a change in how I'm approaching painting, and there's no excuses for poor paint with these guys. The army overall is a how would we put this, bit of a patch-up job most of the time. A lot of the miniatures are not in the best condition and I'm sort of reassembling them or scraping them back and or just painting over the previous paint job. These ones, as you will have seen, I've got all the way back to bare metal, then undercoated and got on with the job. But I've noticed that my painting approach has changed a bit, maybe inspired by the repair jobs and the results I'm getting from them. I mean, if you do one unit up to the nth degree, but the rest of the army is not quite to that level, it's going to look a bit incompatible. So you have to wonder how much you really want to put into a miniature that's going to be embedded in that army. But I'm so fucking time poor that I'm just trying to paint for the sake of getting the job done to a standard that I can tolerate, rather than going the nth degree to try and paint to my absolute very best. And I've noticed that you can tell when you look close up compared to some of the things I've done before, like the Wood Elf Army. But once it's on the tabletop and you're looking at it from 2 or 3 feet distance, the drop in painting standard is too little for me to notice. That said, I'm due for an eye test, so I might change my mind if I get glasses. But at this point, I think I'm just gonna slam out the army as hard and fast as I can, try and keep it neat as long as I stay within the lines and don't fuck up the wash too much, and I'll be happy. One thing with these miniatures, I'll see if I can get a close up on one of them in particular. Who should we look at? This one looks earnest. Let's put him there and we'll zoom in a little bit. one thing I've noticed with these guys is that they're meant to be sneaky gits. And when it comes to painting sneaky gits, you know, they're either going to be dressed all in black. The whole deep purple thing's not quite in character with being a sneaky fucker. I mean, it's fine if you're in rank and file marching with your spear, but if you're meant to be lurking in the woods, it's probably not going to do it. I kept the black cloth motif. But then that meant I painted the cloaks black wouldn't work too well. They'd blend in too much. You just have basically a black blob on the table. And it's also too close to what the assassins look like. I did keep the yellow sash, just because otherwise it would have been a bit of a dark and blurry blob. But you know, if push comes to shove, we'll just say they wrap the cloaks over the yellow cloth. That's how they sneak around in the bush. So what I did instead was I went back to some old bad habits, and I painted them all up camouflaged. There's a couple of reasons for this. One is, you know, it gives them a bit of character, something different on the tabletop. And it's not the neatest, you know, Games Workshop Gordon Demon painting, but we did manage to maintain the shading in the cloak, which, you know, for tabletop distances, that's what really matters. The highlights are the high spots, and the recesses are more shadowed. But the colour scheme is known as Murdoch, and Murdoch is the colour scheme that was being promoted for the Battlefront miniatures for all of their World War III Team Yankee miniatures. And I had sworn that I would never paint a Murdoch colour scheme ever again, having painted, let me show you what I've painted with the bloody Murdoch so far. A dozen or so of these, half a dozen of these, another 4 or 5 of these, and flying fuck tons of M113 variants, doing every bloody thing you can imagine. That's Murdoch. It's a pain in the butt. The other Team Yankee army I've got is just in basic olive green, and fucking hell, it's a lot faster to paint. But, you know, there's kind of a theme going on here. I've got a whole American army painted in Murdoch for Team Yankee. I thought, why the fuck not? Let's have a little bit of a crossover to the Dark Elves. So the Dark Elves are in the same colour palette, the same general selection of, you know, base green, brown, thick stripes, and then thin stripes of the black and the, what is that, ochre or something I used? Yellow earth tan or something, I don't know, one of those. But yeah, so basically you can imagine the Dark Elves getting along just fine with you know, Delta Force circa 1985. So that was a silly thinking on that one. And look, at the end of the day, they turned out tabletop ready. They'll be very useful in the army because I need something sneaky to run around the back line and deal with war machines. I don't have the light cav yet. I'll remedy that in the near future. And I've been finding that I'm getting outgunned rather a lot. Perhaps even check one of the more recent battle reports I've got on the channel with the Dark Elf army against Skaven and Orcs and Goblins, and you'll see just what I'm up against on the war machine front, and we need to attend to the situation. So these guys will do the job for a relatively modest investment of points, and you know, hopefully, like units like this, okay, they kill a bit, they'll take out the old war machine, but the more important thing is that they distract most players from getting on with dealing with my line, and the disruption effect of distracting the players to try and deal with these guys before their precious war machines get nerfed ends up doing as much to hand back the initiative and preserve the line as the actual killing of war machines itself. Anyway, so that's these lads. They're all done. Get rid of this very time-consuming World War III riffraff. And thanks for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this longer video with the description of all the crap that I went through in order to make it work. Feel free to check out the battle reports where the army itself is featuring. Hopefully I'll get these particular ones in the battle in the near future. Feel free to hit like, subscribe, etc. And time to call it a day.